Hey Jerry, how you doing?
Hey, Bruce, I'm doing good.
Are you on the road?
Oh, hold on. I lost my earpiece. Can you hear me?
I- yeah. You're on the road, I take it.
I am on the road.
I love it. The life of a trader.
My better half.
Hey, how's it going? There's a good-looking
He says
guy.
hi. Yes, he is. Glad to have him behind the wheel. After everything that he's been through, he's just not giving up.
That's
So.
great. Where are you guys heading?
Right now, we just crossed into Georgia from Florida. We're heading to North Carolina. We're picking up a big, oversized, it's called a germ-free. It's a medical unit that they place at hospitals that have like a lab inside of them. It's like a totally enclosed germ-free lab. So.
Yeah, I had a guy that wanted me to invest in that. He's got a patent on it, a worldwide patent on a device that you can. He originally designed it for schools where you can put things that kids touch and reuse, put it inside this, in 30 minutes it's all sanitized, and then at night you can remotely, like an administrator can remotely hit a button on their phone and it sanitizes the whole room. But
wow.
I was going to invest, and I'm still on the fence. I just don't know if he really has the wherewithal to get it off the ground. So I kind of worry about that. But the technology I like for sure.
Yeah, I tell you, from everything I've been through in my life and places I've worked, neat projects that I've done, we came up with all kinds of really cool ideas.
Yeah.
But the business behind it is where it's successful or not. So. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. There's, I see Megan too. Megan and Julia. I know Julia's only listening in. How you doing, Megan?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Hi, Megan. I'm going to put me on a listen only because of the noise here.
No.
Okay.
Hey, just real quick, did you taking a look at that real quick, Jerry? Is there any stock that you like more than the rest?
Yeah, actually, I posted the ones that I'm into. I got stopped out of Workhorse really fast today. But yeah, I'll post. Well, hold on. I can tell you right now. I can do so much from my phone. It's just crazy. All right. So I'm still in BKKT. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, BKKT, Lemonade, Nicola. They just settled with SEC. So I think that's going to pick up. And Blank, I love Blank. And BT, which is the Bit Digital.
Yep.
Yep.
Very cool.
So that's what I got going.
Very
cool. When I set them with a buy limit, and then I set right behind that a one cancels the other for a trailing stop loss based on yesterday's close, and a profit target limit based on where the resistance line dropped down and crossed the 50-day moving average. So I went by that distance and doubled it and said, if it reaches that point, I'm out. So that's good. That would be nice.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
So.
Megan, how you been doing? Today's a good day for you, huh?
Today's a good day. I'm up like, I don't know, 50% on my investments.
Nice.
So I've been trying a new strategy, which I mentioned in the chat, and it's really working for me. And it's giving me patience where I don't look at the tickers all day, every day anymore. Basically, I come in the morning and check my plays, see what I want to sell. And then I wait till the end of the day to see what I want to buy. And then during the middle of the day, I'm meeting with clients and building my business. So I have a lot more sanity now. And then getting rid of that scalping has really saved my portfolio. And I'm just going in small. So little bits and, trial and error, testing my strategy, making sure it's working. Someday I can go in heavy, but right now I'm just, today I only invested maybe 12,000 and I'm up $6,400. So
Nice.
I just keep
Very-
doing that to get back to where I want to be.
Yeah. Well, what is your strategy that you're using right now?
I think I'd have to show it to you.
Or just give me that.
Okay, so basically, I start with a 30-day chart, and I look for the lowest point, the lowest candle, and then I wait for a close above the highest point from the lowest candle to tell me that we've reached the bottom in the month and we're turning around. So I feel like it gives me higher risk to reward ratio because we're already so low and beaten down. And then if I find those, then I go to the other charts to kind of confirm my thoughts. So that's one of my strategies that is been giving me about an 85% win rate. So if I place 10 trades, maybe 2 don't make it and the rest do, ranging between 20 and 60%. That's how I got into BBBY the other day, is it just met that criteria and it happened to shoot off. Today I was in Win, all the airlines, Jets, American, all the cruises. I was in like 10 different plays because they had met that criteria 2 days ago. So today I'm up, quite a bit with very little money invested because it just met that criteria.
Yeah. And when you do lose on the ones that you do lose on, the 2 that you lose on,
It's minimal.
It's minimal. Yeah.
Mhm.
So let me ask you this, like as an example, would FOUR, F-O-U-R, would that currently meet your criteria?
It met the criteria today. I'm watching it to see if it closes above that. And that's why I wait till about 15 minutes before market close, because I want to see it hold that. And so if it drops below, I'll wait. I don't think it's ready, and it could go off and I miss it, but that's okay. I'm really trying to stick to my rules, versus guessing or speculating.
Mhm.
So if it holds at that level today, then I probably will go in 4. As far as the other charts, it doesn't look as good on them. So it's not a 5-star like I would have rated some of the other ones.
Mhm.
But I think that 4 is getting ready and it has that high short interest. So that was one on my list today.
And how about, I know there was some talk about chatter about Workhorse. So I was been waiting for Workhorse. So what are your thoughts on Workhorse as it stands right now from a technical perspective? Does that meet your criteria? I would
Does not.
would. It does not.
I think that it's getting ready, but again, if I can make 20 to 50% in 1 or 2 days with a different play, and I have 1 or 2 days before I think this is ready, I'm just not going to put my money in it right the second. The other thing is it has broken the pattern. So it's usually like an 85% win rate the first time it meets the criteria. And if it breaks, it's like a 95% win rate the second time it does the criteria. And for me, Workhorse met the criteria back on 10-12, and I would have taken profits on 10-13. And now it's actually in a short setup in my mind. We've reached a high on this 30-day snapshot, and we've closed below that high. And I'm watching to see if the 8's going to go through the 21 to the downside. So right now, for me, I'm not interested in Workhorse. And if I miss it, I miss it.
Yep. That's the attitude you have to have.
Yeah. So on 11/3, right before market close, would have signaled to me to short Workhorse, and then today to get out. And that would have been a profitable trade. I just didn't do it because I had other trades to do.
Yep. Very, very good. Yeah. I'm trading less tickers as of late, and a lot more. I'm choosing and I'm still kind of finding what are some I consider quality stocks. So you hear me talk about like BKKT. I really do believe that, and I don't like making any recommendations, and this is not a recommendation, but I believe everyone should have a little bit of BKKT, whether it's the stock or long dated options. I have a little bit of both right now, but I'm building that position. And I take a look, and I've been in the markets a long time. And I remember back in 2003, 2004, I was speaking on stage for a large educational company, and I was talking about Google when Google IPO'd back in, I think it was 2005. And I remember when Google was like in $45, $46 a share when it first came out. and then it ran up to 50, and everyone was like, the internet, the search engine, who's gonna pay for that? And that's not gonna be a sustainable business. And then it got to 50, and people were talking about, it's never gonna go much past that. And some people were saying, hey, it's gonna go to 100. And there were haters and there were people that saw it. And I actually saw that, where the world was going. And now you take a look at where Google is. But even not even taking a look at the price where it's at right now, looking at just in like a 2 years period of time from the IPO back in 2005, it went from $46, $47 a share to over $350 a share in 2 years.
Yeah.
So, but I talk about that because I'm looking for companies that I really truly believe can change the way we do business and the way we live, and on the right track. Like Shopify is another example. You take a look at Shopify. Shopify was trading in the teens, and really not so long ago. And you take a look at where people talking about starting their businesses, doing things online, and they need something to support their e-commerce business. Shopify met that criteria, and now look where that stock is trading at, and that hasn't been so long ago. You take a look at LinkedIn. I remember when I used to go out doing networking, again, not so long ago, and a lot of the young guys were not even asking for business cards. They were asking for, hey, what's your LinkedIn profile? Are you on LinkedIn? And look where LinkedIn went. So it's those type of companies, and I think BKKT, it's inevitable that this is where the world is going. As a matter of fact, I went out to dinner last night, and there was a table of about maybe 10 people, and I just happened to be finished my dinner and I was leaving. As I was leaving, I heard they got their bill, and one person was paying the bill, and the others were saying, "Hey, I'll what'd they use? Because I don't use it. I use Venmo, but they said I'll cash app it to you. What is it called?
Cash App.
Cash App. So I didn't know it. I didn't hear that, but I just thought that was unique. I heard it was like not one person, it was like 4 or 5 of them say, "Hey, I'll Cash App it to you," and that's where the world is going. So you have to pay attention to those things and see what are the companies that are meeting those trends. And I don't know if you guys went through that investor pitch deck of BKKT, but if you haven't, you should. It is really incredible what they're doing. They're taking all your reward points, like on United Airlines, the different travel companies, different other types of companies, not just travel, but the different rewards, and they're enabling you as a user to be able to convert that into cash to buy things. That's one component. Then you talk about being able to use it like a Venmo or whatnot. That's another point. Then you have where you can do cryptocurrency on it. That's another thing. So it really is. And then the partnerships that they're partnered with, MasterCard. They're talking about Visa. The word on the street is that Apple Pay. They've already got Google Pay. The Apple Pay will come online before earnings. Earnings is on, I think Ben mentioned or Mike mentioned it, on the 12th of this month. And the anticipation is that the earnings, the relationship with Apple Pay will be announced by Apple before the earnings call. We'll see what happens. But I just, short term, I like playing those stocks, but I think also long term,
right?
I just think it's the future. I think you close your eyes and that stock trading at, whatever what's it trading at today? Let me see. 33.99, $34 a share.
I'm in both stocks and options on that. I'm waiting for it to really pop.
Yeah, I think it does, Jerry. I mean, I think it's one you can put in for long term as well, and really not pay much mind to it. I'm not really one to just let it ride, but I think you could do that with that. And I'm looking for those type of companies that I can trade kind of shorter term, and then wait for it, and then really get familiar with the pattern, understand their KPPs, their key pivot points, and be able to continue riding those up. And I really think that back Holdens is one of those companies. So it's really from what I'm looking for as of late. And then they rank on the that list that I sent out, I think number 6 in terms of short interest. So I think we get some momentum. We really see this thing take off. But so that's really what I've been looking for, is really those type of holdings. I still have a position in ABUS. They announced, and I thought to myself, and I'm kind of like Ben on this. I thought, should I exit the trade when they were announced that they were going to go ahead and do a another share offer, in which typically when you hear a company says, we're going to offer more shares, it dilutes the price action. And the next thing you know is that you have the stock moving down. And that's exactly what ABUS did, is it moved down today. But I think longer term, it could be a good one. The only fear factor I have with ABUS is, because the patents have already been approved, is that, big pharma companies like Moderna and Pfizer, they have a lot of money, very deep pockets. And I think to myself, could they keep delaying this and where, ABUS Pharmaceuticals runs out of capital? I don't know. So it is a concern of mine, but I'm watching it from a fundamental point of view. I like it. Technical view, I mean, it's pulled back some, but much like what Ben has said, I'm in it for the long haul. Unless something dramatically changes, I'm holding that position as well. Let me pull up my screen, and I want to go through a couple of stocks, and I'll give you guys a chance to talk about which ones that you might be interested in. But let me share my screen with you. And I have not done research in terms of where these what each of these stocks do, but I just went ahead and went through from a technical point of view. So I'll bring those up. There's going to be something I want to share with you guys, though, that's kind of off topic when it comes to that. And that's technical analysis. One of the patterns that when I was going through these, that I saw that you can kind of see here on back technologies, these are what we call flag formations. So we have a run up like this, and then you have a little bit of a pullback and it's consolidating. You can see that a flag is created. Now I'll kind of draw the line right here. So you can see this action here. You can see this action here. So this is a flag, and then you typically have a breakout. So here we had a little bit of a run up here, and now it's been consolidating, and it's creating that same type of formation here, a very, very tight range, another mini flag formation here. And I bring this up because these flag formations have an accuracy of about 95%. It's what you call a very high probability trade. And I'll bring one of the stocks up that I was taking a look at, Sava. So if you take a look at here, if you look at this particular trade, if we watch this, you can see, do you see this run up here, guys?
And the flag right there?
Yeah, right here. And I zoomed in a little bit too much, but let me pull out. So if you see this, here it ran up, and then you got a formation here. There's the flag formation, and there's your breakout. So 95, and I share this with you because this happens quite often. Good quality stocks, you start to see a pull up, you start to see a breakout, then you start to see a consolidation where it's forming a flag. If it has a good story behind it and it's forming this technical pattern, it's not only a bullish pattern, but it has a 95% success rate that says 95% of the time when you see this flag formation, it pops and it breaks out to the upside in a big way. So I always talk about layers. And when we go back to BKKT, this stock has layers. It has, if you take a look at the story behind it, it's got a great story behind it. If you take a look at upcoming catalysts, there's several upcoming catalysts, Apple Pay being one of them. If you take a look at the short interest is, I think, is over 40%. So those are all layers that give me cause to be able to say, I'm going to go into a stock quite heavy, looking at layers. Then I take a look and I combine that with the bullish flag formation. It gives me a lot of confidence that things will happen. I am keeping my eye on this date here, which is the November 12th date. I have a very large position on back holdings. So I will not hold through earnings. So just keep this in mind, guys, that those of you that are in this trade, the earnings comes out before, not after, but before the market opens. So you want to make sure that if you want to manage your risk properly, you can leave a little bit on. I will do that. I will leave something on, but I won't leave the position size that I currently have on going through earnings. The earnings will probably be fine. I'm just not willing to take that chance. And to minimize that risk, here's a strategy that I like to use. I will pare back my position quite dramatically, but I'll change my strategy on the option play. I may risk a much smaller amount for me, but I'll do an out of the money call option, shorter term. So if I lose it, I don't plan on losing it, but if I lose it, I'm not going to cry. But if I'm right and the earnings are fantastic, well, then that out of the money shorter term, I won't do a front month. So don't do anything crazy. Give yourself at least 30 days, but I'll do a shorter term option, 30 days or so, where a little bit out of the money, where if I'm right, I'm risking less, but I have potential of making a lot more on that trade, if that makes sense. So that's the way I like to manage my risk, but still be in the trade that will give me the benefit of saying, hey, I feel confident it's going to go up, but you know what? I'm not going to risk the size that I have on right now. Let me liquidate out, and let me reposition myself where I do a different type of a trade, go a little bit out of the money and about a 30-day window. So if I get that pop, I get the IV that gets flushed into it, and I get the out of the money calls that will be accelerated. So those are ways to continue to play earnings and risking less on that, if that makes sense. Any questions on that, guys? All right. So let's take a look at.
I like that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ben. Oh, that was Jerry. I'm sorry.
That was me. It was Jerry. No, I just said, I like that. I wrote that down. I'm going to do that before the 12th.
Yeah, because a lot of times, Jerry, you're like, gosh, I feel really, really confident. This is going to be great. But it's always that one time that ends up not working out the way you planned it. So this is a way to still partake in that, but you position yourself, because that's the one thing we can control as traders is how much are we going to risk. And this allows you to do that, but also be able to get accelerated profits as well if you put on the right option play. So let me go through here, and I'm going to go through the list that I have. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the stocks. And I'm just going to go through them quickly. So, and then I'll give you guys a chance to take a look at this. But this is, again, keep in mind, these are all from a technical perspective, simply because, and I looked at these last night. I haven't looked at them again this morning. I did take a look at some of them. But so last night, BGFF, I don't even know what they do. Actually, I do. This is Big Five. So when I take a look at this, and there's something else I want to say. Remind me to talk about the needs of people. Just remind me if I forget about that. Remind me to talk about the needs of people. So Big Five. So when I took a look at this last night, I like the fact that we made this run. We pulled back down. I haven't done research on it, so I'm not sure why we pulled back down. But we're still over these trend lines, which I like. So last night, what I drew was if I were to take a trade like this. We talked about reward to risk. Megan, you talked about that. That's huge for a trader. That's probably one of the most important things is learning about support and resistance levels, because then you are able to get into trades that have phenomenal reward to risk. And I believe Big Five fits that criteria. Big Five fits the criteria where it does have a nice reward to risk ratio on this. So if you were to get in this trade, I'm looking for trades that I can step out of the trade if I'm wrong and not lose a lot of money. So this meets my criteria on that, being the fact that it has a good reward to risk, and it's still over its moving day averages. That's Big Five.
Can I just add on that one? Because that one is on my list, and all for the same reasons. The one that you didn't mention, a reason that one's on my list is on the weekly chart. The Bollinger Bands are having a squeeze that hasn't yet fired off. And I think when that does, so like that's what we saw with Tesla, right? The Bollinger Band squeezed on the weekly, and then when it got through that, it just fired off. On the weekly, there is a squeeze forming, and the MACD is about to cross. I think when we see that MACD cross positive, I think the Bollinger Band will release, and we'll see some upside momentum on that. So I'm putting that as another like little star on BGFE for me to watch that one.
Yeah, I do like that. One of the things I will share here, and it's important, and Megan brought this up, she said the weekly chart. So we spend a lot of time on the 4-hour chart, but I also do, what I don't share all my due diligence is, I just don't have time for it, but is doing multiple time frame analysis. So now we're on a weekly chart going out 3 years. There's things that you see that you don't catch on a shorter term time frame. So even when I know Julie does a lot of day trade, I do some day trades as well now and then. but I always am taking a look to get a perspective on the longer term chart. So Megan brings up the weekly chart. Well, there's a pattern that we see here. Number one, you take a look from left to right, we're in a nice straight uptrend. Now you start to zoom in on it and you start to see a pattern develop. And I like trading stocks that have a definable pattern if I believe in their story. So here you see a stair step. And what is this forming? A flag formation. And then you get another pop up. Now you get a pullback and it's another flag formation. What does it all have in common since over these last 3 years is that it's held above this 21-day moving average. So if it broke below that and it hasn't done that in 3 years, that would be a little bit odd and tell you, wow, I'm wrong on the trade, I'm going to step out. So it's a clearly defined type of a trend that you see here. And if everything holds true, so we've already got we got the breakout, the squeeze on the this recent flag formation, but typically it looks like it's just getting set to go, and we should see another move back up. So there's a lot of things I like about this chart. But I was just going through, and one thing I will do, guys, whatever your system is, so mine is typically based on a 4-hour chart. If I like it on a 4-hour chart, I do more due diligence, more research on it. I do multiple time frame analysis, but I'll go through, and if I have to stare at the chart to make it work, it's probably not the right trade. You should be able to quickly and easily see this is a good setup based on whatever your criteria is. So that's big five. Go ahead, Megan.
A little trick that I learned if I am staring at the charts too long also is to put the negative sign in front of the ticker and flip the chart to look at it from another perspective. And it'll completely invert the chart. And then I can see with different eyes, does it still feel like it's going in the direction I think it should go? Well, opposite because it's inverted. And that sometimes helps me clear that screen a little bit too.
That's good. Good point.
How do you put a negative sign in front of it?
There, just like Bruce is doing, negative and then ticker sign, and then you'll watch the chart completely invert. So now you can look at the same chart from a different perspective to see if you still feel the same way. And if I'm still unsure, I should just walk away.
Awesome. I learned something new today. Thank you.
Yay.
All right, so there's Kaylin. I kept dismissing you from the group because I didn't know what that number was, so I kicked you out. Sorry, Kaylin. Oh my gosh, forgive me. How rude of me. So here we have another one, BYSI. So again, does anyone know what they do, BYSI? I don't. I was just looking at it from a technical perspective. But this one, not real crazy about, but again, I look for patterns. So we were in a downtrend, and these are all off the high short interest list, guys. So we're breaking out of that downward movement. Again, I look for high reward, low risk. So why do I call this low risk? Because this is, if I was getting into a trade, and hopefully you guys get some takeaways from this, you know, if I'm getting into a trade, my thought is based on where this top of this flag formation is, I wouldn't let it go down any further than that. So this would be my line in the sand. And you can see this area here is what, 1460. Well, the stock's trading at 1480. I'm risking 20 cents on the trade. So that's a pretty good reward to risk. But I'd want to watch it to see. It looks like the pattern is moving up. It looks like, you know, you're seeing an up and down movement. So we should get a bounce from here and another move back up. But again, now I got to go back. If something's of interest to me technically, now I got to go back and do research on the company itself. And again, I don't know what BYSI, what exactly they do. So I'm giving you guys just insight into how I quickly go through if I see something like this short interest list and how I make decisions. So this one here, Wolf, I do like the trend of Wolf for sure. Have we missed the trend? Don't know. So let me go ahead. I like this trend, but a lot of times we often are taking a look at through one lens and we say, wow, the trend is done. But again, take a look at multiple time frame analysis. Let's put on the weeklies on it. Are we done? It doesn't look like it. Looks like we just crossed over the 200-day moving average on a weekly chart. So this would be another one where I would see, does it hold above this area of 2587? And if it does, this could be an area where we could get some some lift off once it breaks over the 200-day moving average. Because one of the things I found is that when a stock makes this type of a move on my 4-hour charts, now here I'm on a weekly, but if it makes this move on the moving averages, it makes that cross, and then it crosses above the 200-day moving average, we typically get a pretty aggressive continuation of that move. So I'd be watching, again, using multiple time frame analysis, I'd be watching that 2587 area and seeing if we get some continuation of this move here. And it wouldn't be bad, even short term, the high was 2954. Can we break above that? So that's WOOF, W-O-O-F. The other one, I think someone traded this one here. I have not. I think it might've been Megan, View. So View is probably one of my favorite charts when I went through this. Downward trend, but again,
Get a lot of money on that one.
Just what I just talked about. We just crossed over the moving averages, and we also crossed over this 200-day moving average, and it looks like it is very sustainable. So it's not just a peeking over your head type of a breakout. It moved over the 200-day moving average. Will we get some pullback? It's likely we will with this candle today, and I'm watching the MACD. I don't think it will pull back that much. So I would probably put in this line here where I see this kind of consolidation. I would probably put in my line. And if it pulled back to this area here, I could control my and manage my risk by that. So I'd kind of wait and see to see if I get a little bit of a pullback. What does View do, Megan? Because I think it was you that traded that, wasn't it?
It was me that traded it. I have no idea what it does. I bought it in the $4 range. I bought options on it because it met my criteria. Yep. And then I wrote it up to about $6 and then I sold it because it's hitting some key KPPs, right? And some resistance as far as support and resistance on the EMAs. And so I just got out of it now. I'm waiting to see if it can get above those. Or if this support and resistance is going to hold. So I'm kind of waiting now on View, but again, I have no idea what it does. It just met my criteria and made a couple 100% on it. I'm happy.
Yeah, good job. Good technical trade. Yeah, I can see where you probably got in down at this area here.
Yep.
So let's take a look at the next one that I had. DI. Again, don't know what they do. For those of you that are just joining, Kaylin and Ben, I have not done fundamental research, business research, purely technical analysis and things that I'm considering off that list. So this is what I drew this last night. So you can see here, it broke this. So this would come off my list. So we had to move back here. I thought, are we going to consolidate? Not real crazy that the moving averages were heading down, but I thought maybe it's going to, because last night it was above this, maybe it's going to hold above this consolidation here, this little box here, but it did not. Boom. So this comes off my list. Wouldn't be interested in trading that. So I'll move on. Hrtx is the next one. This is also probably one of my favorite charts out of the ones I took a look at from memory. So here we were in a downward trend. Again, Hrtx, what is this company? Hrtx. Again, not sure about the company, but from a technical perspective, I do like the overall trend of the MACD. I take a look at this. Just what I talked about. We have a cross on our moving averages, a retest over in this area, and a nice break above the 200-day moving average. So let's see where this takes us. Let me take a look at a longer term chart, weekly. So weekly shows us there's a lot of potential, and I look for that. I look to see where's the stock been, where can we go. So it's been as high over the last 3 years to 31.25. We're trading at 12. Even on the weekly chart, we're starting to make a break here. The MACDs are at the very bottom, but I make my technical decisions once I look at everything based off of my 4-hour chart. And I have to say, I do like the 4-hour chart because you could put your stop somewhere around here or right just above the 200-day moving average. Stocks trade at 12.26. Your stock could be somewhere around the 11.58 area, which really you're not risking a lot for some possible potential, but there's got to be some layers. So the short interest is one layer. Now we have to see, is there upcoming catalysts that are going to continue to drive this stock? So those are things I'd want to take a look at. Let's go on to the next one. LMND, I believe this is lemon. So same type of scenario, movement down, just crossed over the 200-day moving average, but now we have some movement back. And then we have this MACD that's pointing straight down. So this would come off my list. I would just continue to watch this one, but it's not a play that I would make because now it's broke below the 200-day moving average. And I got this MACD leading a downward push. So I would hold off on that one there. Next one, RCON. So I mean, without even zooming in, I like all this consolidation. So Megan talked about a stock that was at the bottom. Well, it looks like we're at the bottom here. Again, I'd have to go back and take a look to see what the stock does, see what upcoming catalysts there are. But zooming in here from a technical perspective, again, I drew this last night. It looks like it's holding where I drew it. And I drew it here because this to me said, if the stock was going to go up, it should not break below this low point here. So I guess kind of drew a line right there at 228. We're at 229, 229.50. So you're not risking a lot on this particular trade if you're disciplined, and you should be. Everyone on this call should be disciplined. So if you're following your rules and you're saying, hey, I agree, this is my stop loss, and my stop loss is at 227. A break below 228, you're risking 2 pennies. So again, now you got to go back. So technically it looks pretty good. I'd have to go back and take a look to find out what does it do? What's the catalyst? Is there an opportunity for it to go up? But I've seen many times with the right company, the right catalyst, a stock that's consolidating like this, where it just gets a squeeze. And this, again, I'm not sure where this was on the list for the short squeeze, but it's at least in the top 50 because this came from that list that I sent out. So this is another one that in my opinion, warrants more further due diligence. The next one on the list is, I heard Ben talk about this before, and I've traded it before, LCID. So you take a look at this, and again, let's go back in time. So here it was in a downtrend. It breaks over the 200-day moving average, and what does it do? It runs, comes back and tests it, hits the two. There's another entry point. So we got to pull back, and now it ran again. And now where are we at? Now, if we take a look at this, there's the flag formation. There's your flag pole, and we're starting to see a breakout here. So this would be, if I were to go ahead and say, hey, I want to take this trade, my stop, I wouldn't give it much breathing room. So I have a line drawn here, but I would probably, on this trade, me personally, I'd probably make the decision to put my line in the sand right here at the top of this head right here. I wouldn't let it, if I was going to enter the trade, I would not let it break below that 37.54. You're not risking that much on the trade. That's LCID. The next one I have on here is RIDE, RIDE. Downward trend. So what did I draw here? Downward trend. Again, this one comes off the list. So I drew this last night. I was looking for it to hold above this line. It has not held. It is actually broken below that. Nice cross on the MACD to the downside. About to cross on this to the downside. Would I short it? Yeah, you possibly could. You'd have to use this as your stop loss. A break above that, you'd be out of the trade. But yeah, this shows downward movement, and it has earnings coming up. And I don't know really anything about this company here, so you have to go back and take a look at RIDE, RIDE. But it would be bullish. It would not be bullish for me. OTLY. So another downward trend. Looks like consolidation down here at the bottom. Let's zoom in and see what we have. So we take a look at this again. Another one that's broken the line. So I would pass on this one. This one's not attracted to me. I wouldn't look any further. I'm not going to short it because it's the low is 1263 and we're at 1286. I'm not going to go long because it broke down below my line. So I'm going to pass on that one. And then we take a look at GDRX. So again, you have to take a look to see what this company does. With GDRX, you know, I probably wouldn't give this stock too much breathing room if I was going to trade this. Somewhere above the 200-day moving average would be fine. You know, if it broke below this, the trend is broken. But there's got some nice consolidation. Something is going to happen. It's either going to break further down or it's going to pop up. So it just really depends on what factors are involved in this stock. Again, I don't know this one. Here's what I do know, and you guys have heard me talk about it time and again. I like the stock. I like the future of it. FOUR, F-O-U-R. So it's been in a downward trend. It's hit recently a low on this chart here. but it looks like we're starting to get some movement, which is why I asked Megan about this. I had already taken a look at this chart. So if we take a look at this, let me see if I can move this out of my way. Yes, I can. Great. So if we take a look at this, nice cross on the MACD, beautiful fresh cross that usually precedes the cross on your moving averages. So I like this move. I like the rounded bottom here. So this would be an easy trade to manage as well, because again, if you're a disciplined trader, you're here drawing your support line at this level here, about 58.29, certainly never not below 58. So, and what are we trading at right now? Let me move this line again. We're trading at 60.50. So not bad, not bad. But I would take a look at this one. It's definitely on the list. They do have earnings coming up. It might be something if I want to play this one. I didn't realize earnings was next week on this one. It might be something I'd have to go back and do research on, see how 4 has been doing. But it might be something that, as I described with what I'm going to do with BKKT, is maybe get into a shorter term option and go out a little bit further in terms of out of the money with a lot less risk at stake, but the potential to be able to get a nice pop, because it's been in a downward trend. I have to believe Ford is going to come out with some pretty good news, but you never know. But those are the ones that that I rapid fire through. And as you guys know, the big one on my list right now is BKKT. And it's just this stock is just a volatile stock. I mean, we were up almost $2 today. We're up, less than 30 cents right now. So very volatile stock, but I think when this thing gets a squeeze, it's going to fire off big time. And I'll slowly scale out of that trade. So what do you guys have? Megan?
Well, you covered a lot that I was looking at. And actually Lucid was the one that I actually bought 2 days ago or 1 day ago, on that bottom where it hit that flagpole formation. And then it shot up again. So I bought that. I actually closed it out today. Just going to wait and see what it does now. So that one is already done for me for at least right this second. FSR was on my list, but I wrote down mixed charts. And I think I actually just closed that out too. You're on the 4-hour chart. My computer's acting up, so I'm delayed in my chart's not working. I put BBBY down as a possibility of going back up again. It looks like it's forming a bull flag. They partnered with Uber and Kroger and have a new CEO, and it's high short interest. So I like all of those things. So I am watching BBBY to see if I might play that again. Obviously I bought it when it was like $14 a share and I sold it right away morning open. I had options and now it's pulled back. So I'm kind of just waiting on that one to see if I want to re-enter. Again, bull flag formation, some great partnerships and a new CEO. Want to see where they take that. So I'm watching that one.
I will say that the chart looks really good on BBY. I like it.
Yep, me too. So I'm just kind of watching that. Again, I'm not ready right this second to open a position, but it is on my watch list. BGFV that you covered, again, I'm watching the MACD because that weekly squeeze hasn't fired off yet. So as soon as that weekly MACD crosses up, I'll probably enter that one again.
Which one was that, Megan?
BGFV.
BGF what?
V.
V. Oh, V.
The big five. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yep, I like that chart. And I think that I'm watching that one. I'm letting it cool off a little bit, bring that RSI back down, cool down after the run it just had, and I'll probably enter that one again.
Yeah, I would say too. I mean, I'm looking at it. I want to see what this does. I don't like the fact that the MACD is crossed to the downside, but it depends if it can hold this level. Yes, I'll be watching that with you.
Yep. So I'm actually not ready to enter any of these right this second. I did Lucid the other day and now I'm already out again, but okay, so Fisker FSR, my chart just pulled up. Let me see what I saw on that one. I think it was on the weekly. I'm just looking here. So yeah, on the weekly, we got a fresh MACD cross up. It held that 200 EMA really well. And the 8 EMA has just crossed positive over the 21. That's on the weekly chart. So I am watching Fisker. And then on top of it, it's obviously a high short interest play as well. So I am watching Fisker because the weekly chart looks good. But then I'm like, well, I wrote down mixed charts because I didn't love, maybe it was the 4 hour. I'll have to look at that. So again, I'm just watching it because it looked good on one of my criteria. And then another one, I'm like, iffy. So I wasn't ready to jump into it. I've got too many other plays sitting on my books that look better to me. So yeah, it's building a
What will be the
squeeze.
driving force for this one for Fisker?
I don't know the company, but again, on the weekly, we've got that positive MACD cross. On the 4 hour, we've got a squeeze on the Bollinger Bands building and turning more bearish. If that MACD crosses through, I think that we're going to get some gains on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like, it doesn't excite me. It's just like off this list, what would I choose? You know, those are kind of the ones that I'm mainly looking at is BBBY, Lucid, VGFV. I did have Wolf on mine, but it had a question mark next to it. So, you know, I've got a couple, but I've got some other lists that aren't high short interest that look a little bit more appealing that I'm working with right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one of the things I wanted to thanks for sharing that, Megan. I appreciate it as always. I actually like this. I like the chart. You know, to be quite honest with you, I'm going to watch it. But I do like it. I'm with you on that one. One of the things I want to say, guys, is that, you know, I take a look at, and I missed the boat on this. I played it shorter term, and I should have played it longer term. But looking at companies, looking at kind of where the world is, looking at the kind of the sentiment. So everyone's been in a lockdown for the last 2 years and haven't been able to really do anything, travel or anything. And people are tired of that. And you start to see people want to get out, they want to travel and whatnot. So one of the stocks that I had traded was Marriott Vacation Club, VAC. And I got it down here around the 140 area because it met my criteria of low risk. The problem was I exited it way too soon because it went from 140. Now it's trading at close to 170. And the chart still looks pretty good. And I remember at one point, Ben and I were talking about, we were trading Airbnb. I haven't looked at Airbnb, but I'm going to probably be sick.
Do not look at it today. Do not look at it.
Look at this. That's it.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Looking at this, I mean, we really have to, you know, kind of work as a team to think about what society want? What do the people want? Where's the world going? And again, that goes back to my BKKT. That's why I like it so much, because I think that's where the world is going. But being able to, you know, on the flip side, I had a friend ask me about Zoom, and gosh, well, how come Zoom hasn't really done anything? You know, why is Zoom, you know, just kind of sitting idle, and it makes a run up, but it pulls back down? It's not because Zoom's a bad company. Zoom's a great company, but I think it comes down to human sentiment, and people are just tired of staying at home and working. So it's not as flashy. It's not as exciting for investors because it's not where the world is going right now. It's like kind of that ship has sailed. I think Zoom goes back up over time. I think if you were a long-term investor and you want to put your money into this over the next 5 years, you'd be fine. But I think as a trader doing shorter term trades, you're not going to get a lot of movement out of Zoom right now because that's not where the excitement is. You know, and it's the same thing with, you take a look at another company that does well is Roku. You know, Roku, great company. But look what's happened to Roku. And their earnings weren't even that bad. But you look at them and what do? They play to that at home mentality. And I think right now the stocks that are not on fire are the stocks that are the at home stocks. The stocks that are on fire are the stocks that are getting people out, like the Marriott Vacation Clubs, like the Airbnbs of the world. And it's really keeping a pulse on market sentiment. Where's the world going? What are people gravitating towards? Because that's where investors will put their money. And do a good job of looking at that and identifying those companies. We'll make a lot of money for sure.
You know, Bruce, I was looking at a company, Lemonade. I was looking at that today, and I was like, well, that's a neat name. What do they do? And I started digging into it, and I was really impressed with their business model of really easy insurance. Just, you know, you get onto the website and you just design your own insurance package, and it's really affordable, and it's tailored to the person who, I think it's tailored to the younger people. You know, they don't want a really big, complicated, big business kind of a Allstate telling them what insurance they're supposed to have. They're really more into designing what they want for their own lifestyle.
That's good. That's a good point.
Talking about what you were just talking about, like people get excited about it, and that just reminds me a lot of like Uber and even like the cryptocurrencies. The younger generation is just all over the let me do it my way kind of a mentality, which I love. But Lemonade felt like that to me too.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I mean, you take a look at, like, you know, a lot of these stocks. I mean, you know, I brought up earlier on the call Shopify. You know, I mean, look at Shopify where it's trading right now, $1,500 a share. Now, those of you that are not really familiar with Shopify and what they do, they're on the e-commerce side, but they weren't always at $1,500 a share. You take a look at back when they started not so long ago, you know, here $117 a share. You know what I'm saying? So these are companies that have changed and have fed into where the world is going. And it's finding those type of companies where you get that astronomical growth in a trade or an investment, is being able to see that early on. Any other questions, comments? Ben, I know that you're like owning audio only. Are you able to comment or no? Probably not.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, yeah, there he is.
I'm here. Yeah, I just I've been out for some lunch. I'm just getting back in now. Well, actually, it's more like dinner, but hope you're all well, everybody. It's great to be here with you as usual. I've had a rough day today with stocks, with Workhorse. I started out with the intention of being really disciplined in the trade. And I was looking at the charts. I'd set the stop loss a certain area, looking at key support areas. And throughout the last couple of days, my own, what's the word? My own excitement about the trade has got the better of me, because I actually reduced the stop loss down, thinking to myself, if it goes down, it'll be all right. It'll bounce back up. The squeeze is on. Everything's going to happen. And it's not happened that way for me. So I've taken a big hit on Workhorse today, and it's really affected me in terms of where I'm currently at in my cash flow situation, in the trading cash flow that I've got. I look at my situation now compared to where I was three months ago, and I'm about 70 to 80% down on where I was in about 3 months ago. So I just want to comment and say that it's really important to stay disciplined. This is the lesson that I'm getting. I don't learn, I think, unless I get hit like this. I think the best learnings for me come when I make these mistakes and I look at myself in the mirror and I say, where's my responsibility in this as a trader? And of course, the chart looked great with Workhorse, but then I've been reading this afternoon, they get an investigation by the Department of Justice, and the stock plummets by 13%. And it's just one of those things, right? But the responsibility lies with me, because if I'd have kept disciplined, if I'd have kept my stop loss at a high point, if I'd have gone by the principles and the rules that I've got, I wouldn't be in a situation where I'm now looking at my account today and it's gone down by 50%, you know? So that's just something I want to share with you all. It's not that I like talking about my failures, but I think that the greatest gift from failure is the lessons that we get from it. And it's going to take me a couple of days to process it, to understand it. But my initial reaction to it is, what did I do in this trade that caused me to get to this point? And the one thing I can say is I just didn't remain disciplined. So I want to share that with you all. Hopefully you can learn from it too. I know that Jerry's got very strong principles when it comes to stop losses. I know, Bruce, you say all the time, keep your stop losses tight, look at the support levels, look at the key pivot points. I wish I'd have done that today. I wish I'd have stayed disciplined, but I actually changed my mind last night. I said to myself, if it drops, it'll bounce back. But it did exactly what the worst case scenario could be. And I've paid the price for it today. So I want to share that with you all. It's something that I'm going to have to learn from.
Yeah, sorry that you had to experience that the hard way, Ben. Do appreciate you sharing that with the group. I mean, it's like I've always said, you don't know, even if you really believe in the story, you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Wish is a great example where, you know, I looked at that and I thought, what a great story. But there comes a time where the charts don't lie, and if you don't see it moving in your direction, you've got to go ahead and bow out and say, you know what, I got to move on. But it's great of you to share that. I wish you were just talking in theory and you didn't have to really share that with us of what the reality is. But discipline is key in this business, Ben.
Me too, Bruce. But at the same time, I firmly believe that it will make you a better trader long term. You know, it's one of those things that you don't get the lesson unless you experience the reality, because very often, until you actually see it happen, your worst nightmares unfolding in the market regarding a trade, it's sometimes difficult to believe that it can. You know, I got so convinced it was going to go my way. I really did. I was like, this is going to go my way. This is going to be an amazing trade. It's going to double up. I'm going to get a great profit from it. I'm going to make back all the stuff that has gone against me over the last 3 months. And literally, it went against me in the worst case it could possibly go. But that again, for me, it just re-emphasizes things for me. And you know, I've not been trading with big money. I've been using whatever money I put into the trading. I was saying to myself, this is for my long-term trading education. You know, if I was spending this money on coaching or on investing in myself, what I'd be doing is I'd be using that to grow. And I believe that, you know, these lessons will stand me in a real good foundation for the next 10, 15, 20 years of my trading career. It's just right now, you know, that gut feeling, that sinking feeling that you get when it happens. And I'm laughing about it because I can't turn it around, but that sinking feeling, it's like putting your finger in the fire. You put your finger in the fire once and you don't do it again, right? So I need to know that, and I'll learn from it. It's not the first time in my life I've taken a significant hit and bounced back from it. But it really right now is a little bit raw. And, you know, while it's raw, I want to be as real as I can be and share with everybody, because I think that it's something that I just wouldn't want anybody else to experience. And I know that there's people on this call who are learning just like me. I know Jerry's been trading for a little bit longer than me, and Megan's had her own experiences of it, and I'm sure you've had your experiences of some stuff like this in the past, Bruce. It's one of those things, and man, I wish I'd have just listened to the rules rather than changing the rules, you know. It's one of those things, but I appreciate your kindness, Bruce, and everybody around me, and I'm pretty sure from it, it'll just be one of those things that I look back and laugh at in 5 years' time and say, man, I was so green back then. I wish I'd have known better, but at least it made me into a better trader today.
Yeah. It's true. It's just we've all been in that situation, Ben. You know, you've got to learn from it, because I mean that's what keeps you in the business. The rules are the rules for a reason. You know, when you're getting into trades and you're taking a look at what that reward to risk potential is, Well, you're stepping into the trade. You got to be disciplined enough. It's what I was saying even earlier today. You got to be disciplined enough to say, I'm getting into this trade because I believe it's going to go up. I believe in this company. But if it breaks below this level here, I'm done with it. I'm going to wash my hands. You have to. Otherwise, the trade will wash their hands of you.
Yeah, it did that. I was sat down with my friends having a conversation about business, and I looked at my phone, and I think they all saw the blood drain from my face, and they were like, "What's going on, man?" I said, "I don't even want to tell you. It feels embarrassing. I'm not going to talk about it, but I want to share it with you guys because it's something that we can all learn from, and I'm one for helping others and hoping that they can be the best they can be too." So, yeah. Rough day, but obviously I'll bounce back from it because there's a never give up attitude, and it's all about the learning. And as you say, Bruce, I'll get the lesson now. I think before I was like, yeah, there's an arrogance there with me a little bit about the markets, you know, and I was reading stuff about Ray Dalio when he was first investing, and some of these great investors that are out there in the markets now. And there's an arrogance that the market's going to do what you want it to do with your will. And the market's a living and breathing thing, and it's going to do exactly what you don't want it to do. And when it does do what you want it to do, it's like appreciating it. And that's the relationship I've got with the market. So I just need to get those boundaries sorted, to get it fixed, and not do that again, whatever it's going to be. And I've got a pretty long road ahead of me to get back to where I was when I first started, but I'll start again on Monday, and I'll be looking at some of these trades that you've shared. I've currently got an open position on CRSR. If you want to bring that chart up, Bruce, CRSR, I like this company a lot. It's a company that I've known for many, many years. A memory company that specializes in supplying memory to esports and the gaming industry. CRSR, it's got a short interest of 32% right now. I've got into this trade on the pullback yesterday at around 26.25. It's pulled back a little bit today as well. I've got my stop loss set at 25.60. I really like this company, and the reason why I like this company is that because I know the potential that they possess, and I know that there is a huge demand in their specialty arena for these products. It's made a nice break to the upside. It's pulled back a little bit right now. I feel like it could go to around the 32 to 34 area. If you look previously on the charts, it's been at 40 in the past. It's really got that cult-like following within that industry. And that's what makes it exciting for me, because they did announce just before the earnings that they'd had a few supply chain bottlenecks. But what's actually come back from the earnings is that the earnings weren't as bad as people had first expected. And you can see that from the way that it's bounced back over the last couple of days. Hopefully this one will work. If not, I've learned my lesson today. I'm going to have to get out if it breaks down below what I've expected. But I do like the fact that it's recovering and it's holding that ground there. It's almost like it's starting the beginning of some sort of step. And I think that it might break up to about 32 in the next couple of weeks.
Any big catalyst on that one there, Ben?
No catalyst other than I looked yesterday and there'd been an article by the Motley Fool, which have got a great following, basically saying, you know, this is a cheap stock. This stock has got reason to invest in it long term because the supply chain bottlenecks are not going to last forever. Very much like Apple, I'd imagine. You know, Apple's got that thing of they can't deliver the iPhone 13s right now, but when the supply chain bottlenecks resume, it's definitely going to resume a bigger uptrend. Pretty much the same with this one. There is demand for the products. There is demand for the products, but the reason why they're stating that the demand, they've not been able to meet the demand over the last 12 months or so, is because of the graphics cards. If you think about a PC, it's got memory in it, it's got a graphics card, it's got a processor, it's got a motherboard. if there's no graphics cards around, where there's been a substantial shortage on graphics cards for the last 12 months, then there's not many PCs getting built. And these PCs that they're building, they're like supercars, you know, they're like the creme de la creme of PCs, where people want the top graphics card and they want to put the top memory in the PC. This is the top memory. This is the memory that people go, hey, check out my PC. Look at my memory. You know, you've got to understand the mindset of these types of people that are sat there building these PCs. So what the Motley Fool are saying is earnings weren't great. Corsair came out first and said that the earnings weren't great. The market reacted to that. They overreacted, and the expectations are within the next 3 to 6 months that Corsair will be able to resume normal deliveries and also capitalize on the pent up kind of anticipation that people have got, because they've not been able to build their top end PCs over the last 12 months due to the lack of graphics cards. So it's not a catalyst as such, but it is that strong underlying sentiment that this product is quality, people still want it, that there is a pent up kind of attitude to getting this product. And once these supply chain bottlenecks kind of ease off, this will go back up to the 40s area, you know. So I just thought it's cheap. That was my mindset behind it. It's cheap. This is going to go up. What are your thoughts about the chart, Bruce?
I like the chart. I mean, I think, again, I like getting into trades that are easy to manage from a reward to risk ratio. So I like the fact that it's broken out of the downtrend, has tempted to cross above the 200, didn't successfully do it. But I think the stop I would probably put on is right about where I have my line drawn, maybe 25.60 area. I'd give it a little bit of breathing room, not much, but that's a pretty good reward to risk, because it's only trading at 25.96, 25.60. You're risking less than 40 cents on the trade. And I do like the flag formation that's forming on that. So that's why I was asking you about the catalyst, to see if there's something that would drive it with some oomph past that area. I do notice that, I don't know if this is the average trading volume, but it has about 500,000 shares that are traded today. So I'd be watching for that, because usually volume precedes the movement. So if you see an increase in volume, probably a pretty good sign you're going to get some momentum going to the upside.
Thanks very much. I agree. That's where I've set my stop losses in the 25.60 area. I believe that there will be a conversation about this on some of the meme groups and things like that, because the people that are buying this product are those types of people. You know, they're the, I don't want to use it in a negative way, but they're the geeky types of people who've got that strong affinity with the product, and they want this product. And when they see this product is at a cheap price, they're like, this is one of my favorite companies. I want to buy this company. I want to hold this company because I see the long-term potential. Very much like Nvidia. I remember Nvidia 15 years ago when I was going to trade fairs in Taiwan and across the world, and Nvidia were just a small company back then. And you look at Nvidia's growth, it's been explosive over the last 15 years. I believe that Corsair can go to those levels as well, just simply because of the esports and the esports growth. That we're at that inflection point in esports where there's a lot of people investing in that in the US right now as well. You know, these teams where people go to events, they sit at events and they play on these games, and they're like superstars, these esports players. You know, they walk in with their team colors on. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see more and more of that. And that's what's prompted my involvement in this trade. So I think when you ask about the catalyst is going to be strong consumer relationship with the product. I think people want to own this stock, and especially people of my age who've grown up over the last 20 years building PCs and knowing PCs and the technology. They know this company, and they know this company's got a really strong future behind it. So I think when you get an article by the Motley Fool saying, hey, this stock is cheap, people are reading that, that's going to influence people to buy it. And I'm going to be looking at that. I'll check the volume. And if it breaks down below the 25.60, I'm going to learn the lesson from today, which is I've got to stay disciplined, really got to stay disciplined. I don't want to feel this way again about a trade where I had the rules in place.
Are you still in the trade on Workhorse?
Am I still in the trade? I got stopped out on some of my positions. I'm still open on some of the positions now.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It doesn't look good, does it? The chart does not look good. But what I do like about it is that it held the long-term support at 623. So
Yeah.
there is a possibility. There is a possibility that this could squeeze back upwards with the large short interest today. There is a possibility that it could go to $12 to $14.
And Ben, you have shares, not options. Is that correct?
I have shares. Yeah, I have leverage shares though as well. You know,
Yeah,
that's what
I honestly don't think you're in a bad position. I mean, we were talking about Workhorse. I'm actually looking at Workhorse. I like the exhaustive wicks to the bottom. I mean, just this morning, I almost pulled the trigger on it when it dropped here, because again, this is what Megan was talking about. And that's why I was surprised she said she wasn't interested, because what caught my interest was down here at these lows, very, very easy to manage the risk, because this is the low area down here, very easy to manage the risk. Now it's made some ways back up. We have these long exhaustive wicks again to the downside. I'm honestly looking and considering it. I want to see what it does. I don't know if I'll enter today. I may start a position, but I personally like Workhorse. I like the fact that it has that high short interest. It needs a break. But that if you had the options, I'd say, yeah, it wouldn't be a good sign for you. But having the shares, unless you believe Workhorse is going to go out of business, I don't. I think it has a future. I think there's an opportunity there for you.
I'm gonna hold the shares because, you know, when I entered the trade, I was like, this is a do or die situation. Some of them I got stopped out on. It cost me a lot because they were leveraged, and I was like, I want to get in and make the maximum amount I can possibly make. I want to make back the downside over the last 3 months or so, and it stopped me out of some of those leveraged positions. However, I just think when there's a short move like this, that this is setting up for a squeeze. So I'm still going to hold. If it goes to 18, we'll be having a very different conversation, Bruce. You know, it's just right now, it's that emotional thing of, hey, I got hit. What do I do? And you know, when I look at the chart, like you say, there's an exhaustive wick to the upside. It's held the long-term support. The short squeeze is still on with Workhorse, isn't it? That's what I think. It's just whether or not I can get my head around it and hold the position.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of great things going for them, Ben. I mean, so it's easier for me to talk about it because I'm not emotional about it because I'm not in it. So I look at it, I try to look at it from a very clean perspective. And I think to myself, do I want to get into it? And you can ask the guys. I was talking about this trade earlier, and I actually asked Megan because I thought this probably met her criteria, but she said it didn't. Yes, Megan? You can't hear me, or you got to go?
I gotta go.
Okay.
See you guys later.
Bye, Megan.
See you later.
So when I look at this, Ben, for me, going back, and I remember I got to go back and do more due diligence on it, but I remember reading about the patent they have for the last mile delivery, the drones, meaning the drones, I think it's called Workhorse, or not Workhorse, it's called
Horsefly.
Horsefly, yes.
Horsefly, yeah.
I just see that. I see that with everybody going green, with trying to be able to cut down on these emissions. I see that playing a big role. Again, going back to changing the way we work, the way we live, I think Workhorse has a future. I mean, if I wouldn't be saying that if I didn't believe that. And I like to get into stocks that are low priced, that I think have not taken off yet, but eventually will. So it also goes back to your time perspective. We don't know when Workhorse is going to get that lift, but I'm pretty confident that it will get a lift, and you'll be in a different position. later on. I really do believe that. I think Workhorse, that's why if you had the options, it'd be a different story. You have the shares. I think you're taking a little bit of pain right now, but I think you'll reap the rewards later on.
Definitely. That's my hope for this trade. As I say, it was, some of it was a leverage position. That's what caught me out, is because on a leverage position, if it goes down, you have a stop loss that margin calls you out. I've had to learn about margin calls as well today again. And, you know, I still have 1,000 shares. So 1,000 shares is a lot of shares if it goes up to 18, isn't it? You know, I won't be having this conversation if it does that pop up to 18. But the initial gut feeling is why didn't I hold my stop loss at 698? And then I could have rebought back in at 620, you know, and save myself 10%, you know?
Yep. I hear you.
Yeah. But that's my lesson. That's a lesson that I need to learn. And it's also, you know, it's something that's got to happen for me to learn that. I'm a firm believer that we learn through our experiences. And it's easy to talk about in practical, in theory application when you're doing it with paper trading or whatever. But the actual feeling that you get is what teaches you the lesson. And that's what I've had to feel. And I'll learn from this. It will definitely make me a better trader no matter what. I know that for a fact, because I'll say to myself next time, shall I move my stop loss? It'll be like, do you not remember the last trade you did where you moved the stop loss and it caused you that pain? You know what I'm talking about, right, Bruce?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Been there and done that.
Like, do you remember that last trade where you moved the stop loss and it created that pain for you?
Yep.
Well, if you do that again, that could happen again. So what are you going to do this time? And it's that lesson. I'll only get that lesson through this. And that's what I need to get. That's what I believe today is I needed that lesson. I was literally sat there at the dinner table. I was like, I hope this doesn't drop to where it's going to drop. I really hope it doesn't happen. And it happened. It's like, thank you, Market. Thank you for teaching me that. And
yeah, exactly.
Let's hope it goes up to back up, and I can say in a week or a month or 3 months time, hey, it caused me some pain, but it also gave me great rewards in the long term.
There you go. Well, let me ask if Mike, before we wrap up, Mike or Kaylin, do you guys have any questions or comments?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So Ben, ironically, today was the day that I learned that lesson, and I stuck to my stop loss on Workhorse. So, you know.
Well done, brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate you jumping in the trade and taking taking confidence in what I was saying in the group.
It's just learning, you know, and I have kind of similar cash flow issues. And I'm a bag holder, and that's my problem. And I'm a recovering bag holder. So, you know, so yeah, I'm down 50% in my fund, and this is just like play money for me, right? So, you know, it's not going to change my world, but it's, you know, I think someone said in the group, it's like our tuition, you know? So that's really kind of how I'm viewing it. And I think Julia sent out like a link a while back from it was this trader dude who had like this 2-day seminar, and I listened to the whole thing. It was amazing. Just about kind of sticking to your plan, avoiding emotions, and just executing and saying, you know what, no, this is my stop loss, like it's not working, I'm out.
Yeah.
I
mean, you have to take a look at it unemotional. I mean, going back to Workhorse, you know, if you still believe in the story, I believe in it, and I believe they are the future. Now you look at, now it's dropped, and now no one wants to buy. And now you look at it, and it's like, well, that's when you should be buying, because we're here at 662. You put a stop below this area here at 645 or so, even 640. You're only risking 20 pennies, you know. So, but a lot of people trade with emotion, and that's one thing you have to learn to do, to not do as a trader, is not trade with emotion. Just take a look and step back and say, does this still make sense? And am I comfortable with what I'm risking?
Yeah, and so that definitely makes sense. One chart I want you to pull up, and it's a Ben one from a while ago, but it looks like I'm getting a fresh crossover. It's Western Digital, WDC.
What is it?
WDC.
I love this company. Again, it's because of my history and background in IT. I know the potential.
Yeah. Fresh cross. Looks good here, looks good there. Got to keep in mind, you got this resistance area here at 57.33.
Yeah.
Well, do you take the trade now, thinking it's going to go above? For me, it would depend. I go back to the catalyst. Is what's going to drive Western Digital up, where it has enough momentum that it's going to break through this major resistance area. I'm not saying it won't, but you need that catalyst to do it. So you could either take the trade now, and or you can wait for it to break above and then wait for it to pull back to this area here and then jump in.
Because it looks like earnings came out, there was a pretty negative response from the market, and then it's kind of bouncing off that low.
It's a similar situation to with Corsair, Mike, where they've had bottlenecks on supply and PC building and their PC business has taken a hit over the last 12 months due to the lack of video cards. That's going to change. It's just a temporary thing. It's the same as Apple dropping to 141 and then jumping back up to 151 within the space of 3 months period. Absolutely the same. In 2022, you'd anticipate that their numbers would go back to normal, what they're normally doing. So I like these companies because I see the long-term future for them. I wouldn't necessarily get involved on leverage with them to a large degree. I definitely think buying these companies and holding these companies will pay off long-term, definitely.
Awesome. And another one, maybe Bruce is Chewy. It's the pet food online.
CHWL, right?
Yeah, and so that kind of fell off a cliff, and then it kind of really bounced back pretty hard here. And I missed picking it up at the bottom there.
Yeah, I don't think you've missed it. I don't think you've missed anything. So I mean, see, this is what I'm talking about. So
yeah,
it's always following the patterns. If you take a look at this, so now it's got a nice setup. And thanks for bringing this back up because I haven't looked at it for a while. So here we have again flag formation, consolidation, and a pop. And stocks typically always repeat themselves. And then what do? You're patient enough, whether you were patient or whether you did it by mistake, you're patient enough to wait for it to pull back down, comes back down near this area, probably won't come back down to this area. If it came down here, the trend will break and it'll go south. But it looks like it's stopping right where it should. And that you again, very, very easy to manage the risk. Why? Because now your risk is this area here at 73.78. We're at 74.59. So this would be, you take the trade, you take a look and you say, there's my risk. I'm entering the trade because I don't think it's going to go lower. I will stop myself out if it gets to 73.78. But now I think this is a pretty sweet entry point right here.
And you think maybe shares or options or either?
I would probably do on this. I would do longer dated options. You can come back over here and take a look. So they're trading almost 3 million shares. That's good. I'd give myself a little bit of time. Maybe even the chance, but let me just see this. We're at 70. See, the options are cheap. So look at this one here. 50 plus, say $26, that's $76. So you're not paying much for extrinsic value. If you did a shorter term option, I wouldn't go any shorter than this though, personally. If you did this, you got the $50 call option, that's 25, that's 75. Yeah, so I just like going in the money on the trades myself.
Right.
But there's different things you can do with it, but it looks pretty good.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for the guidance. And yeah, if you could send out the link, I couldn't listen to the first half, so.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Well,
So-
I think, guys, I think that's going to call it a wrap. Get back to trade-in. I got to close out a couple of things and maybe add to a couple of things. So that's about it though.
Thanks very much for the call, Bruce. It's been very, very interesting and very educational. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Appreciate you too, Ben, everybody on the call. Have a great rest of the day and a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Stay blessed, everyone. Take it easy.
All right. Bye now.